Welcome back, Rivals. This is Xonia, and you are in the zone. And today we're going to be reviewing two more decks. So, I'm going to make this a little fast. Sorry about that. This weekend my wife had some stuff to do, and so I had to watch our daughter, and so I haven't had a whole lot of time in order to put one of these together, so I'm sorry I'm not going to be quite as thorough, but I actually don't think I need to for these because these are both really, really good decks. First, we're going to be looking at ADX DeNeRlX's Bangers T2 Survivor deck, and then we're going to be looking at a deck by, I think it's, his name is Tanishq Aggarwal. Both of these are their YouTube names, so we'll take a look at it. First up is ADX DeNeRlX's. He sent me a screenshot, which was really helpful, so thank you for he wrote, I tried to send you my deck last time, but since it got messed up, I'm going to try to send it with a screenshot instead. I hope it's good enough. The purpose of my deck is T2 with intense power, some good DR, and a few devastating pill cards. I mostly use it in Survivor, but anything T2 will work besides Shan CR in Tournament. So let's take a look at it. It's B-Boy, Dixie, Fixit, Carl, Shan CR, Vermin N, Zoe, and Amber. Automatically, I'll just give you my first thoughts right. It looks really good. Obviously, we've got 2 DR. They are the cards that are going to be lower in star values, which is really good. Dixie kind of being the Uranus type thing, and Vermin N. Both of them have -4 damage because of the support, unless Dixie gets paired up with Amber, which could be a little bit of a problem there. I think in general you want to keep some really high damage, but the mins are really low, which is really good as well. I'm curious as to why. I'm assuming you have Dixie in there because you want the lower star instead of having B-Bazooka in there for the 5 guaranteed. Which is fine. You're just going to have to take one over the other. The other thing about Dixie is that not only is she going to be a little bit lower with Amber here, being 8 power, 4 damage, but only giving -3 min to, but she will also not have as much damage, and so with only 4, obviously she's going to be able to KO with everyone except for Amber there, and that's the one reason why we normally stay away from Amber in these situations. But this is a power deck, and obviously Amber is going to work really well with all of these cards because their base power are all 7 or less, which is fantastic. Obviously with someone like Zoe, that's going to be amazing. We've got 3 support cards in here, which is also really good. This deck looks like it's very weak to SOA though, and that's one thing that we need to look out for, but otherwise it's not that weak. In all honesty, to SOA, it'll still stand up in there. B-Boy, solid choice, always a solid choice, great. Dixie is the one that I'm really worried about, and I'm curious if having those fewer stars is actually working out as well for you or not. If it's not, I might consider switching Dixie with someone like B-Bazooka to get the definite damage, but then also bring up the base damage to 8. Because the thing that it looks like this deck is really going to struggle with is you've got a lot of these 7s, so you're going to be able to do fine up to 14, but if you go against someone that has 15 life or more, who's been doing it for quite a while, you might run into some issues. Or if they've got any DR whatsoever, which they probably will if they're up to 13 or 14, it's going to be a little bit harder here, especially once they get to 13. Dixie and Fixit or Dixie and Shan will not be able to hit with all of that. But you've got the great pill manipulation, which is really good in there from Shan CR, obviously. You've got all the pill manipulation coming back from Carl. That's really good. B-Boy, Carl, very solid. Fixit is low on the damage, but because of the protection, an excellent card to be able to follow up and pose that real threat, especially if you can tag him in with Amber as well. You're safe because even though he's got that courage with the plus power, he's going to be able to get around DR when you lead on the courage round, which is really nice. So I think having Fixit in there is a really good idea. Shan CR, always a beast, definitely great, especially when you're up in pills. That's going to work out really well for you. Maybe that's the kind of thing you're hoping for if you are going against someone with 15 life. You're counting on the fact that someone like Shan CR is going to pop into your hand, but maybe she won't, and so that's something you're really going to have to look out for sure. Vermin N, obviously great, but very low on power, but he's your DR, so it's not quite as important. And then of course Zoe with the absolute power blaster, and then Amber, who is really counting on having 2 of these other cards do a lot of damage. If you get like Fixit, Dixie, Amber, and then say who else? I guess your worst situation maybe be Carl. So Dixie, Fixit, Carl, Amber would probably be your worst hand, because you wouldn't have anyone else who can actually 2-hit KO with Dixie or Amber, and so that's going to put you in a big bind. And so what I would say is if you're really going to do this for Survivor, I would actually try and throw in a little bit more damage. And so I hate to say it, but if you're going to run Amber, then Dixie is probably not your best bet. So let's take a look at Kurlad here, some of the other ones. This is B-Bazooka, the one I was talking about, 6-8, minus 3 off damage, min 3. A little bit higher on the damage, but min 3 is still fine. The minus 5 is set, which is great, and the 8 damage is really going to be nasty, so that even if the opponent has some DR, you might still be able to get that KO in, which is really good. If you're looking for something lower, man, it's really hard because there isn't a lot of really great DR, so maybe actually I would switch Vermin N and B-Bazooka, maybe something like that, and then flip in Blaster CR instead, maybe? I don't know, because Blaster CR is just such a great card, and the solid 7-7 of Boden Power is just, it's really hard to overlook this, and with the minus 5 min 2, that's usually going to allow you to force them to at least play one pill. This is really going to help you against cards like, for example, Gumbo. If you run into someone like Gumbo, this is really going to help out because Gumbo is going to have to play at least one in order to get around for Boden Power. I really think you're lacking a little bit of attack manipulation, but still very solid. If you want to do more of a pill manip, you said, then Joy would even be a really good choice to stick in there as well. I really wish that there was kind of, this is the old Crink LD. I don't know what the newest one is. I think the newer one is like the plus pills, which is a little bit different. I don't know what it is, but I don't think Crink is going to be really great. I think this is one of the things that really just comes up as a sore point for bangers, is they really don't have anyone that has the power and damage kind of manipulation. You're really stuck with, you kind of have to use Vermin N. He's the only really good one with a minus 4 min 1. Obviously I prefer Zoe to Willy all the time, but Zoe not going to be quite as strong with Amber in there, but Willy also very easy to predict with his courage, which is something you're going to want to look out for. I don't know, like I've always really wanted to run bangers, but I just can't bring myself to run bangers for Survivor because they just don't quite have enough damage and power. When they're only power and damage, their abilities really need to kick in more, and I'm not sure that that's really here. But I guess the one thing that I would say from this, just quickly before we move on, this is really great. It's got enough DR right now. That's fantastic. It's got the protection it needs. It's weak to SOA, so you'll need to look out for that. But overall, it's pretty good if it runs unchecked. And so if you run into things like skills, you're going to be fine. Against Geist, it's going to have a lot of trouble, so be careful there. Be careful of draws with Amber and Dixie. And so that's why I would honestly say probably Dixie and Vermin N. I would pull these out. These are the ones you're going to have to switch around. I would replace Vermin N or Dixie with B-Bazooka, and then the other one maybe... Man, maybe, I don't know, like if you really want a low, like 3-star card to run in here, I would definitely recommend throwing Tasty Taste in here, because Tasty Taste is going to be 10-6, which is just crazy for bangers, and it's a revenge card, which is going to figure out just fine, because you really have absolutely no conditionals in here except for the Amber Courage, and so having another conditional in here, because you've got the support, which isn't really a conditional, might work out pretty well. But overall, this looks like a really solid deck. I'm sure it's going to work just fine for you in most cases, but when you get a little bit further in, when you have less pills, it's going to be a little bit harder here with bangers. You do have the support from Shan, but you might want a little bit more, which is why you may favor someone as well, kind of like Joy, which will potentially let you either bluff and have them play a lot to go against it, or allow you to go all in and get some of those pills back when you find yourself down in pills. And obviously Amber is very easy to call at the beginning, and as long as you have Fix It, you'll be fine with the protection leading on courage rounds, but otherwise you might find yourself in a bit of trouble. Otherwise, great deck. Thanks for sending it in, and let's move on to our second deck. Our second deck, again, is from Tanishq Aggarwal. He wrote, "Can you review my DT deck next? I used it to win 4 DTs, and my highest was with 540 points. Well, honestly, right off the bat right there, with 540 points, I don't know if I can give you any critiques on this, because if you won with 540 points, probably this is about as good as it's going to get, and you've already taken this to a level of perfection, but I want to show it off as well, because I think this is just going to work out really well for a lot of people to see this and see what kind of DT deck can get you a whole lot of points from La Junta. So again, this is a T1 tourney from La Junta. As you can see here, Brianna, Floyd, Glover, Pilskin, Scooty, Thorman, Tolliver, and Trish. Obviously, with this kind of a deck, you want less than 25 stars. How many is that? He has 24 stars, which is good, so he is running a little bit less. Maybe it would be good to pull one more out, but he's got a bunch of 2 and 3 stars in here, and so most of his stars in big formats are coming from Pilskin and Brianna, which is fine as long as you don't get both. But even if you do, you don't have to use them both. You can bluff with one in order to try and free up some space later with one of your other ones, or try and win with one of your 2 stars and then go in a little bit further. Obviously, La Junta, always a very strong DT deck because it just does so much damage. You want as much in there as you can. Thormund, really good if you have to win 3 rounds. I don't personally like Thormund because he only has that 3 damage, and he's not going to be able to even 2-hit KO with Pilskin. 8 and 3, only 11. But still, clearly this is a great deck. You don't need any real DR. You've got kind of faux DR here with Glover, but you don't need the DR in Tourney because Tourney just, your goal is to get KOs as fast as you can. All of these cards are absolutely fantastic cards. Scooty and Tolliver, absolute staples at the 2-star slot. I can't recommend anything else better. Scooty giving you that attack manipulation that you really need in La Junta, and a great lead with very few pills just to see if you can sneak him in there and then basically have all your pills for something else. Tolliver with the 5 damage and up to 9 power, even with a courage, an amazing lead card on a courage round for 2 stars only. Trish, sometimes getting absolutely destroyed by all-stars, which is very common, but still a very, very strong card with 7 damage, which can basically 2-hit KO with almost anything in here, which is fantastic. Pilskin, one of the best 5-star cards, hands down. Only ELO banned, not tourney banned. No tourney penalty, which is fantastic for La Junta as well. Making it very easy in order to win with a slight pill deficit, meaning you can play in with Trish or even Glover or even Brianna here with 3 or 4 pills, and if you win that, then Pilskin basically ensures the win for that round. Glover, fantastic 3-star card, one of my top 3-star cards in the game right now, so obviously nothing better that I can say for that. Floyd, absolute beast of a 3-star card, as you can see, 11k here for an uncommon, which is amazing. Being able to do up to 6 damage, which is crazy. Brianna, probably the best 4-star for Tourney because you're going to get that pill back, which essentially is kind of like Scooty with the kind of, I guess, here it'd be faux attack manipulation, not real attack manipulation, but if you get it back, it's like you've got an extra +8 if you play her early. You have lots of lead cards, which is really important. You need to play really fast in DT. You need a card that you know that you can lead with fast, and being able to throw Brianna out on the first round, or being able to throw Scooty out on the first round, being able to throw Tolliver out if you've got courage, absolutely fantastic. 3 cards, very easy to lead right off the bat. You've even got others that are great in late round, early and late. Fantastic. Again, there's really nothing I think I can improve upon here. The only thing I would say is I don't like Thormund being in here because he's 11-3, and with only having 3, I would really like to see more. But the problem is La Junta really doesn't have more, and that's the thing that's really hard here. Is you kind of need that answer when you run into decks against like Uluwatu, for example. But Thormund at 11 power, I don't know who else I would throw in here. So let's take a look at this. Boomba's got the cancel power mod, so maybe Boomba would even be a really good one, because the reason you would want Thormund in here at all is because he's going to take care of that extra power. But even with that kind of cancellation of the power manipulation, Boomba here would be really good, but he's only 7, which means that he's probably not going to get that amazing, like, overpowering status that Thormund's going to get when you go against something like Skeels or something like that. So I don't know if I could say... I mean, Boomba is maybe a potential thing that we could switch in there. But ultimately, not quite as good. Dean, I just don't know if I could... I mean, Dean is really good. He's also another one. Maybe you could try Dean for the extra one. I'd really like to see a little bit more damage on the 2-star slot, but really Thormund is the only one that I would say seems like a weak link to me. And I can't think of a single card that would... I mean, Molly is horrible with power, no good. Nikki, absolute trash. Why would anyone want to play her? Sabia, really good, but she's DR, and you don't want DR. You don't need the DR. Spade, I really like, but again, not fixing that damage problem. The extra pills are great, but we don't really care about that. The point is you need to win the round. Victoria, again, not gonna work out most of the time because of her stop. Really stable in that. War Dog, great 8 too, but not gonna. I mean, they're really just, there is nothing else to look at. The closest thing I would say is maybe Boomba would be able to do the same thing. So maybe you would want to try Boomba just to see, because I don't know why you're using Thorman. What's the primary purpose of him in this deck for you? That's the thing that you really need to think about. Are you using him to combat cards like Uluwatu, the really strong cards that are going to be played at the end, like say Wooly or Zoe, from either Uluwatu or from Bangers? Or are you using Thorman just as one of those, like, you get your low star draw of Scooty, Tolliver, Thorman, and then say Trish, and you need to win 3 rounds in order to win, because there's no way you're going to get Trish through, for example. I don't know. Or maybe you just have Thorman out there in order to throw 2 or 3 pills in order to try and see if you can get a free 3 damage. Essentially, I don't know why exactly you're using Thorman, but what I would say for this deck is the only way to improve it is to wait for another 2-star that's going to be able to replace Thorman and fill whatever role he has in this deck, because otherwise this deck is massive, amazing power manipulation, and it's everything that you could really hope for in a La Junta deck, and with no DT penalty, this is absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend this deck for anyone who's interested in starting a DT, trying to learn how to do that really fast, to play quick. La Junta is just such a great guild to be able to clan in order to be able to do that. So I love this deck. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sending this in, Tanishq Aggarwal. There's really nothing that I can say right now in order to change it up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick review today. I hope you enjoyed being able to kind of look at these decks, and I hope they help you out in the future as well. Thank you to both of my subscribers who have sent these in. I really appreciate when you guys send me in your decks, and I really do want to try and review them for you guys as best that I can. I hope that you found something helpful in what I said. And overall, again, guys, just thank you so much for everything on this channel. We just hit 800 subs today, so thank you all so much for subscribing to my channel, and I hope we can just continue to enjoy playing Urban Rivals and having fun looking at decks and trying to figure out what these new cards are going to be like together. So if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you really liked it, then don't forget to share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget to subscribe for more of my Urban Rivals videos. This is Xonia, and you've been in the zone.